Okay, I did that last video and broke off instead of running the whole 15 because I have more site information that I'd like to do. Darwin talking about an earthworm, and I will eat that earthworm. I don't care. To a certain degree, we'll be talking about Elon and neural net with the monkeys in terms of whether they're feeling or not. I mean, you got house dogs to consider inside of here, military dogs to consider inside of here, kind of the differentials and standard models of whether they would still believe that without nuts living in their house, given what they don't know about being wild animals, Chihuahua to German Shepherd, in that Jacobi matrix, a lot of information to handle, a lot of bones work in terms of omega, the limits under that standard where it's okay to think about the anthropomorphism of 79, this computer, me kind of registering that the 42 way of it in the anthropomorphism of me grabbing this book off the bookshelf on a day where I'm pretty pissy and need to start thinking about what my next Uru tip I'm going to pack is going to look like. Um, let's rip through it real quick. Again, I'm sure I'd love to go through that whole idea and integrate it into the neural net brain mechanics of actually being able to see the MRI patterns or be able to create a test within an MRI of that book model, of how it's cognitive with baselines against what chi you're bringing to the table, your wiener chi, your heart chi, your lie chi, your truth chi, if you want, but for sure wiener chi, heart chi, and brain activity across the board. If it's not registering a lie or a baseline for the truth on your heart rate monitor and your wiener chi isn't integrating an increase of biomechanical issues, get the grape frustration, some kind of levels under that model of how you do the Pavlovian notations to these things correctly to remodel some of the kill agents that might be in there and their study principles and how we want to repack that. Great notation. As I'm saying, I'm not really trying to muscle in on the territory. I'm just trying to get within side of the system of what I already have done is recognized as some of the material base that it is. And it's also comprehensible that I be cognitive of what I can do with some of that material if this became a more apt way than trying to understand from Elon what neural net may be with the 42 ed nature of being in line of potentially a wrecking ball of some of the timelines or interpretation of how I'm analytically or analog going through the material and adding it into a state of matter of how I would think an animal would think about this material, being that they don't necessarily have those criteria or a nurturing and naturing situation. The evaluator in these cases may have to be impartial to this idea, but I sure as shit ain't talking about Bezos running an anthropology system. Those gears would certainly fail you across most, if not all, standards of that model. So.
Oh my god, okay, the ending of this story is crazy. I kind of can't
Darwin
wait to
was
get
one of
to
those
it,
models.
because I feel like you guys are going
They
to
study
freak, but
apparently
yeah, so
earthworms that
we're
grab
covering Defenders Beyond, right? We
leaves
basically
by their
finished
tips,
Avengers
not
versus
necessarily their
X-Men versus
stems. And I
Eternals.
thought
Now
about
we need
that
a
for a
new
minute.
series to
That's
start.
seems
Here's the
reasonable.
thing, right? Let's just kind of get into
Seems
this,
like
right?
they've
So,
doing that. I
what
might
ends up
even have
going on
seen them
here
do
is
something
this
like
takes
that.
place after the
Now,
death
have
of
I
Stephen
studied
Strange, right? If you guys remember that story that we covered,
anywhere's enough
Stephen
of that
Strange
material
is dead
picking
in
night
Marvel
crawlers
Comics,
out at night
and his role was basically taken
for
over by
fishing
Clea, who was at one point
to
his
really
apprentice,
be able
then she
to
became his girlfriend, then his wife, and then they got
compellingly
divorced,
say
and
that
they've kind of been
that's a true
basically friends
evaluation.
with benefits ever
I
since.
mean, if they start
And so
grabbing
she's
by
like
the
the new
stem
Doctor
as a
Strange.
learned
Stephen Strange
behavior
is
that
out,
was
but
equally
what
as
ends up
good,
happening here
that
is one of
eventually
the things
turned
that
it
Stephen
around.
Strange had
Where's
done
the
is
line
he had
that you
kind of
draw?
left these
Oysters,
instances where he had kind of
octopus,
foreseen
a
these events
starfish.
unfolding, different
I
things that were going
mean,
to take place over the course of the universe, and
amongst
kind of left a portion
ideas,
of himself
starfish,
beyond.
there
I mean,
may be something
if
like
we're
this
being
one.
honest here, it's a plot
This
device,
one's
right? It's one
conscious.
of the
This
things you
one,
got to
if you
notice
had
about this story by Al Ewing. He really has fun with it more so than anything else, which is kind of the best way to handle this kind of stuff. But what ends up going on here is Stephen Strange basically visits Blue Marvel Adam Brashear. And this is a cool
the
moment
horse
because
that learned to
this
do
is something
algebra.
that you don't
Well,
really
what did we
see
learn from the
all that
mechanism
often,
before?
right? When it
Carrying
comes
each
to
other
Adam
down
Brashear,
for
the
a
Blue
certain
Marvel
degree
in
so
Marvel
we can get a
Comics,
state of
he's always one of these
information inside
characters
of
where
here.
he's kind of
Let's bring up
fringe
Neil
to a
deGrasse
degree.
Tyson talking
You
to
don't
Joe
see him
Rogan.
all that often,
Let's
but when you
utilize
do,
that
it's usually
tank
because
grounded
something's
slow
popping off.
motion
Like
or
in
a
the Doctor Doom
photon through the
solo
water
series,
bottle by
when Adam
virtue of
Brashear, the Blue Marvel,
optics
fights Dr. Doom.
mathematics
And
that
yes,
gives us
we are
a
gonna
state
cover
of matter
that
where we could
because
say,
that
hey,
story is
that's a great
amazing.
idea for y the square
It
root
is like the
of
best Dr. Doom story ever.
-1
But what goes on here
is
is you
I.
basically have
And
Adam
now
Bashir
we
in his
can
underwater base, right?
cognitively
Those of you
remember
guys who are
that base
unfamiliar with
inside of
him,
there,
his base of
potentially even
operations is actually
computer
down in
that,
the
that
ocean.
system
It
to
kind
be
of
able to
allows him
take
to
that
basically operate
algorithm
in
out of that
peace.
book and
And
say,
he's met by what is
when
in
you
fact the
do
spirit of
sigma,
Stephen Strange
it's going
that
to do some
basically starts
specific things.
presenting
It's
him
not
tarot
going to
cards
do
with the
something
intention
so
of basically bringing back
specifically,
the Defenders. Now, it
0,
wasn't
1,
always that way in
-1,
Marvel
0, 1,
Comics, right? The
2,
idea of like
0,
the
1,
tarot
2,
cards
3.
and the Defenders, that didn't become a
As
thing
an
until the
operator,
1990s. The
they
original Defenders
operate
team was
according
kind
to
of
what
a
the wave is,
loose-knit
but it's
coming
not a
together of
perfect
superheroes for a particular
sinusoidal wave
purpose,
function
and that
given
was supposed
the
to be
state
it.
of the nature
It
as it
became
is. We're
so
going to have to
popular
add things
that
to it.
Marvel
It's going to
actually
be a
kept
little
it as an
fuzzy.
on-running series
You got some
that
muons
went
and
on
some
for a
taus,
long
quarks,
time. The
if you
Defenders
will,
was
states of
immensely
matter
popular when it was
that
running
are
in Marvel. Now,
bosonic
over
or
time, the
fermionic.
series became
And
unpopular
fermionic's
because
the real,
basically
bosonics
writers,
are the
different writers
gauges.
just kind of screwed it up. But in the 2000s,
The thing
Marvel
going
tried to bring it
down,
back.
the
And
air
what they
crane
gave us
sucking
was
on
Doctor
something
Strange's
at full
Secret
pressure.
Defenders. And so what
Great,
Doctor Strange
having a
would
crack
do
in that
is that when
rock,
there was some
running
kind of
at
a
some
calamity, say for
percentage
example, like
differently,
Dormammu was
fine,
coming
as
back
long as
or
you're
something
not
like
running
that,
full-size
he would just
rock.
start drawing tarot cards, and he would assemble a
But it
team. It
means
was an
something's not
amazing
right. It
concept
means
that was
that there's a
terribly
dark matter
executed.
calc in there, and
Doctor
I could
Strange
draw
would
that
assemble a team that
crack
had, like,
out.
Wolverine
So what's it mean?
and Spider-Man
Mathematically,
and, like,
sure, I
Cyclops
might
and
be able to
somebody
get
else.
an
I'm just
extra few
arbitrarily
inches
drawing
out of
names
that
here.
rock, but
But he would
inches,
literally
unless
just
it's
assemble a team of
literally a
characters that you
custom
would
cut,
never expect to see team up.
doesn't matter.
And they would go
So,
face a
rule
villain
come
that you would
down.
never
Bossy,
expect to
you
see them
breaking
face
that
off
with a
against. It
sledgehammer
was
about
great,
what it
and I
is.
absolutely loved it.
You step
But the
out
thing
of my
about
house.
this is that this is where all that comes from. And so, hitting up Adam Brashear, there are a few things that Adam Brashear takes note of. For example, Eternity Mask. But the Eternity Mask is a really
It happened
cool
to burn
concept in
rock
Marvel
for
Comics.
too.
The way this
Anything
works
else?
is that the wearer
Jeremy
of the
Ladle.
Eternity Mask immediately has a level of power that matches whoever they're facing off
In the
against.
square.
So if, like, some random
That is
dude
where it
named
begins
Chris,
and ends.
who's literally just
Right.
walking down the street, stumbles
We
across
don't need
the
it to be the
Eternity
Olympics,
Mask, he could
because
put it
at
on,
the end of the
and then
day,
if he were to
odds of
fight, like,
probability, if I
Worldbreaker
catch
Hulk,
you out
he would
there,
immediately have as much power as
and,
Worldbreaker
well,
Hulk has.
what
It
was
would
the
actually
difference?
change
You,
based on
you
how
gain
powerful
power
the
by
Worldbreaker
showing up
Hulk
to the
becomes.
Olympics, and
If
that's
he
the only
faced
time
off
you
against
win, huh?
Galactus, he would immediately
Undo
be
you.
as powerful as Galactus. It really is just kind of a MacGuffin in
Just
comics,
sure.
but it is
And I'm glad
cool.
that
It's a
comes
really,
in
really
with the
interesting
thesis.
thing. But
The power
immediately, one of the things
vacuums,
to
all
know is
that,
that
was
Adam
stuff in a
Brashear
way
is a
that
man
the
of science.
Gresham's law
So when
kicks
he's
in
met by this
about
kind
I
of
see what he's doing.
disembodied spirit
In
in
there,
the form of an orb
other
from
than
Stephen
George, the
Strange, just like,
author
hey,
of that
Blue
book,
Marvel,
which
I need you for a magical mission. His
which
immediate
as far
response
as
is like,
writing
no,
goes,
that's ridiculous.
I
I'm not
loved
going
it.
off
It
on
was
some
good.
magic
Nice
mission
read, nice
because,
smooth
because
thing,
a
analytical.
mystical
I'm
orb
into
told
that
me so.
base.
But the
Take you
reason
right to
why
the
Doctor
end in
Strange is
Africa
approaching
and
Blue
elephants
Marvel
and a bunch
is
of
because the
scientific
threat they're
names.
dealing with
A
doesn't
plus.
necessarily exist within the
Contextually about
multiverse
the
itself.
consciousness
It
of
actually
animals,
exists
I could care
beyond
less.
the multiverse. Beyond the multiverse. Hint, hint.
Well,
nudge, nudge.
The
Told you this story was going to be amazing. So here's what goes on,
bibliography
right? So literally,
is
what Doctor
basically
Strange says
me just
is,
writing what I
because
did
of the
every day
various things
journal,
that you faced off
but
against, right?
a
The
different
first
type.
Cosmos,
You're
which
very
we'll cover
consciously
all that
aware
stuff as we
of.
get further on into this.
This
because
was, of
all
course,
that comes
under
back,
that
man,
animal's
right?
behavioral
The
psychology.
first
That
firmament,
specific
the
animal's
aspirants, the
behavioral
celestials,
psychology. There
it
will
all
be
gets
patterns that
revisited
are
here.
derived from
This
this.
story's
There,
fantastic. God, I love this story so much. But he says, like, you face off against some of the most powerful beings in existence, right? Anti-Man Connor Sims, who basically just, like, demolished the Avengers. And when I say demolished, I mean, that doesn't even begin to tell it, right? Like, literally, this guy just KO'd the Avengers.
Exchange
like,
on what it
the
is.
most
I can't
powerful
really get
Avengers.
under,
The
what is
Sentry,
it,
Carol
27,
Danvers, kind of, which is
47,
important, I
as
guess you
far
know
as
about it, but,
above,
like,
so
basically,
below.
like, he
I
KO'd
forget
pretty
what
much all the
technique
heavy
they
hitters of
call
the
it
Avengers.
in
Anti-Man was on a whole
this,
different level.
but they
And
talk
then he
about,
became
you
the,
like
the
to do
Herald of
Wolverine,
Galactus, which
but
amped his
Loomis'
power up
technique
even more.
is
The guy
based
could
in
enter and leave the
Green
multiverse
Lantern,
at will.
basically, a
It was
soldier,
crazy
whatever.
how powerful
And there's a
Sims
difference
became.
between the two,
But,
but
like,
they're the same
Adam
stuff.
Bashir faced off
Cognitive
against some major
learning,
guys. And that's why he's here,
systematic
right? That's why
learning,
Stephen
some
Strange
X
approaches
theory
him.
that caught
But again,
Demon
a lot of
Core,
this is
numbers
really
of
just kind
mentions
of Adam
started to
Bashir blowing
take
it
it
all
and
off
shift
and
off.
considering it to be
I mean,
ridiculous until
in
he
the
looks
end,
back at the
it
deck of
certainly
tarot
isn't
cards
based on
and
the
realizes,
presidency
of
for never
card
worth
has been
anything, but
flipped
you
over
could say
beyond
Cruz
his
makes some
will,
runs
meaning
at it.
he didn't
Jim
do it.
Jordan's
Somebody
makes some
did, and the
makes
card
some
seems
runs
to
at
have
it.
flipped
Some
on
of
its
the
own.
math,
And the
well,
reality
you know
is
what?
that it
Screw them
basically
on the
shows
other
the
end of
dead
that too,
body of
because
America
Jim done pissed
Chavez.
me
Now,
off.
the reason
You shouldn't. These are all things based on the house of that pump ratio on things, and when people.
I'm gonna head over to the
It'll be
Threadiverse.
military base. And at the end of the day, the
Bye,
difference
bye.
isn't that it's
The reason why this matters is because when Al
necessarily
Ewing was writing the
socialism,
Ultimates,
fascism.
America
It's just
Chavez
good
was on that
old-fashioned
team.
gravity.
If you
It
guys
really
never
is.
saw,
I mean,
if
it's
you,
like
if you
these are
never read the
certain
Ultimates,
math problems.
we covered
They
that.
are
I'll have the
not
playlist down
algebra
in the
all the time.
description.
Sometimes they're
Make sure you
trigonometry.
go check
Sometimes they're
that out at the end
sociology.
of this video
Sometimes they're
because the
psychological.
Ultimates is phenomenal.
But they all have a
To give you
field.
guys perspective,
If the
in the
things
first
in that
story arc
field
of
are
the
acting
Ultimates,
according to
the
that
team,
that
right,
thing,
so like
then it's a
basically Blue
social
Marvel,
event.
Black Panther,
Then
America
it's
Chavez, Spectrum,
it can,
Monica
in
Rambeau,
a
Carol Danvers, America Chavez, like
in
they
a cute
all
way, or excuse me,
overpower
a chronic way, a
Galactus
small way.
in the first arc. It's kind of nuts.
I'm
It's
hypnotizing
It's
you.
ridiculous.
It's exactly
it
what
only
I
gets
mean.
more
A
insane
gravity
from there.
click
Like,
bell
a
on
Molecule
you
Man
that
comes back, who's
says we're going to
ridiculously
stay on
obese.
this and
It's a
flank
phenomenal
left when
story.
accordingly
But the thing
you
about
get
this
something
is
going
that
like
you end up
this.
having
You're
him
going to need to
come to this
know.
realization that there really is more going on here, which is really
Those
crazy
non-mad
because
Valentine Rabbit.
America Chavez pops up just at that point in time. Now, one of the things going on here is that America Chavez's powers aren't really what they used to be, meaning she can't really jump through realities the way she was able to before. That was covered in America Chavez.
Well, I
Made
did
in
like
the
the
USA.
Rhodesian
We're
road
not going to
back
cover that
and
because that story
the
sucks.
male lion
But,
that figured it
that's
out.
basically what
But
goes on
that's
here,
kind of
right?
the
Like, her
nature of
powers
that.
are
We
basically
can't separate
diminished.
from
And
just
so
that
as a result
read
of that, she
or
literally
me
hits
not
up Adam
fully
Brashear for
going
help.
to either
And Adam
recreate
Brashear
the
sends her away
experiment or go
because
through the
realizing what's
experiment's
going
log,
on
which
with
may
like these
nowhere
tarot
near
cards
be
and magical
comprehensive
prophecies,
at the
that if America Chavez stays
biological
with Adam Brashear, she's going to end up dying.
Yeah.
But the truth about this is that
zoological
once these
level
events are set
of
in motion,
inside of
meaning
there when it
once
just
the
might have been a
cards are
state of
drawn,
animal
there's
or
no way
Tiger
to undo
King's
it, right? Like
bull crap
everything is
over there.
going to
That's
happen now.
yeah, finally
And
had
that's when
enough
Adam
of it.
Brashear starts
This
looking
is
through the
starting
cards
to
and starts seeing
biologically
Loki.
hit
He starts
18
seeing
or
Kaya, which is
13,
kind of crazy.
12 years
And
old as a
Loki and
male.
Kaya both show up.
Other
Right now,
parts of the
Loki, for
brain
the most
start
part,
working a little
is a little bit of a
differently
nuance here. We'll explain him
because
here
you're
in a
still
second.
growing
What's
through
going
that
on with Kaya
Loomis
is she's
technique
basically
of the
the mother
screaming
of
fish
Galactus.
over the
That
waterfall
happened
on
during the
Skull
events
Mountain
of
over
the
there.
first Defenders
60
run.
drinking.
We can cover it if you're interested because I feel like some of you guys are kind of like, wait, what?
Are you
The mother
conscious
of
about that?
Galactus?
You have no
Yeah,
idea
like
because you've never
Galactus's mom,
experienced
right?
this
She basically
situation. You
joins
don't
up
really
with
have
the
enough
Defenders. It's kind of
recall,
interesting. It's a
under
little
standard
wonky.
models
It's
of
a
that
really,
to
really
say
cool story.
it's
We just
within the
hadn't really covered
bandwidth
it.
of those
For
things,
this
super
version of Loki,
volatile under
this
those
is actually a time
bandwidths, or
displaced Loki, and it goes back to the events of Secret Wars. So for those of you guys who are unfamiliar with that story, before Secret Wars actually
Usually you make a
happened,
statement to
when
the
Jonathan
standard.
Hickman was writing Avengers: The
If
New Avengers, Marvel actually had a series
photogram,
of other stories going
right?
at the same time,
What are we
which
talking
was
about?
called
Well,
Last
if
Days.
that
And it was
statement, it would
basically,
equal
here's what's
one.
going on with
That's a
different
good idea.
superheroes
That's
or different characters
point
in the
inside
universe,
of there.
and like
Overall,
the
nobody
days and weeks
nobody gives me
leading
an
up
omega
to like
getting it.
the
Whichever
end of the
omega,
multiverse,
alpha,
the collapse
beta
of everything, and
determines
like the
this
start of
situation to
Secret
be.
Wars. For the character of Loki, he was accompanied by a chick named Verity. She's not really important here. For the character of Loki, what had happened is that following the events of
What
Siege on
happened?
Asgard,
So I
when
got
the
a fist
Loki that
fight.
we had always known had basically been killed, that version of Loki
And so
was
that makes
reborn
you
as
gonna
what
need
was
to
basically
toe-to-toe
the
with
god of
me. And
stories
for a real long
instead
while
of the
there, I
god
was
of
good and
lies.
fuzzy about
He
it.
did
The
have his
Caesar's
own
complex,
set of events that
Messiah
were going on.
complex,
Honestly, that was probably
some
the
Jesus
coolest
telling
version
you
of
about
Loki that we'd ever
Corinthians
seen in
inside
Marvel
of there
Comics.
about
He was
right
literally
now,
going on
bad
missions to make up for all of his past misdeeds, which was cool. And so what ended up happening is that during the
Consciousness in it
Last
too.
Days event, Loki ended up
And
leaving
depending
and
on
going
which
outside
cultural
the
model we get in
multiverse.
here, really going
And
to be
then
also you
once
got
the
an
Last
Egyptian
Days story
king with the
arc ended
largest
in
corn
Agents of
collection
Asgard,
and more
he
money
basically
than God,
opened
and
the
their whole
door to
entire
see
fucking
what came
civilization
next.
falling
Now
apart.
the
Oh, what could be
intention
the
at that
problem?
point in time is it was basically him skipping everything. It was basically Loki saying, okay, he's skipping past Secret Wars, opening the door, and then going
Jim saying
into the
something like the
reborn
Fed needs to keep
multiverse.
tightening. It's
What
like,
Al Ewing
no.
did as part of
They need to be
Defenders is he
precise.
said,
that
actually,
would tighten
before Loki
somebody.
showed
The
up
action
after
is
Secret Wars
that
was
they're
over,
only got
he
one damn
basically left.
arrow
He
in
ended
their
up,
fuck
going
quiver, and
back
that's
to
all
the
they know how
universe
to
that
do.
came before.
And then they'll
And that's how
play
Loki's
side
here.
mechanisms
Right, that's
on
why
it
Loki's
across the
here at the
board,
moment. So
giving
it's
the
really kind of a
monkey,
detour, right? So like
the
you're in
snail,
California, you're driving down to Florida to
any
Disney World. Instead of
biological
going
system
straight to
down
Disney
there
World,
from
you stop and you
sponge
go to
to
Texas
salt,
for
or salt
whatever
sponge
reason
to
makes
shark,
sense to nobody but yourself.
given
Because who the hell would
Lucy's
want to go there?
evolution,
But you stop in
or
Texas
Rob
for a little bit.
Core's
That's what this is, right? It's
evolutions
the equivalent of
of
Loki making
round
a side
robins
stop
of
in
his
Texas.
first
And so
videos.
what
He
this
probably gave
team
himself
basically
3rd degree
assembled,
burn.
because
If I didn't
everybody's
just
here,
say that to
that
you,
like literally
would
the
you
entire
have
mission
noticed
is
that?
kind of etched
Going
in
back
stone.
to the
And Like,
begin
there's
stuff.
no way to undo this now, right? Like, they're literally charted on this course, and a series of events outside of their control are going to start happening that will force them here. And so,
You
as a
live on a
result of that,
place
one of the
where,
first things
regardless
that
of
pops
whether you
off
believe
is
there to
basically
be
the
an
portal to the neutral zone
anthropomorphic being,
ends up
or
going
that somebody
awry. Now,
could
the way the
act
neutral
in
zone's
that
been
way
handled in Marvel Comics has
goes to
shifted
standard
over
models.
the years. So one of the
It's
things
to
to
say
know, and
that I have
believe we
friends,
covered
and
this,
Luke,
but I'm
John,
not
Mary,
100% sure,
there's a
that one
type
of the
of
things we found out
everything
is that
and
when it came to
adjusted
the
to
Blue Marvel,
2020.
he actually had a
Like
son
right
named
now,
Kevin. He actually had
Lilith
two
for
sons,
me
one
is
named
that
Max
girl
and one
from
named
Girls
Kevin.
Gone
But
Wild
his
that
son
actually
Kevin
get the
had basically been
the
sucked
girls
inside
to
the
fall
neutral
in,
zone, and
right?
there was
Something
no
a guy
real
can't do
conceivable
to the
means of
system that
getting him
does it.
out. And
does
so at
that
that point in
always
time,
lock her into
the way
that
the neutral zone
methodology? I
was
like her
established in
little
Marvel
type,
Comics
but I
is
wouldn't
that it
like
was
her
a
to do
place
something like that.
outside the
There's also
multiverse, but
something
led
going
to what
on
was
with that
basically
that's
the
not exactly
Omniverse,
right.
right? So a
Because if
collection
she
of
knew
multiverses,
that and she
and
was
really
Mrs.
it was
Drill
just an
Sergeant, how does
uncharted
that
place,
then
an
change the
uncharted realm.
situation
We didn't
for
really know
Scar
anything
and
about it.
Mufasa?
We just knew that it was a place where matter and antimatter coalesced. The hypothesis among fans is that because Kevin Brashear exists in that realm, if he's able to return to the
He's
main Marvel
charged.
universe and simultaneously use all the power that he's
That'd
accumulated
be
or that
Elon
has
and
kind of
Bezos and
infused
those
with
other
his
guys.
body while
Look,
he was in the neutral zone,
do they go to
he'd be the most
psychologists?
powerful
Do they
force
have
to ever
masters?
exist
Do
in
they
the
go
history
through
of Marvel
lectures
Comics.
on
Like,
things about
everybody would
what
fall
it is they're
before him. His
supposed to
power
do
would draw
around
from
here?
everyone, right? Literally,
And
every character you've ever
when
seen
you
or heard
don't
of
have
in
that
Marvel,
anymore, you're going to have to
regardless
go
of the
through a
level of
sector
power they
analysis
have,
of what
up
you
to
have, but
and
it's
presumably
still going to
including
have
the one
to be
above all, would
integrated
be
from time
dwarfed
to
by
time.
the
You pick up a
power
book
of
of
Kevin
crap
Brashear.
that you didn't need to
Because
learn
at
about
the end of the day, the one
earthworms,
above
and
all
you're
is
going
the
to
one who
just
created the
destroy
entirety
it
of the
into the set.
multiverse. What happens when you're a being who
Xenos
is
from back
powerful
in the
enough
day
to
over there,
basically
you're going to
leave
equate
the
over to
purview
Space
of the
Marine
one
as
above
soon
all
as you make
and
a click
achieve a
to
level
it
of power
and
that
say,
exceeds
oh,
that of the one above all? But
a
again,
bunch of
that's all just a
scientists
fan
getting
theory.
nitty gritty
There's
with them. I'll
been
be like,
nothing to
exactly,
solidify that.
heresy, the
But
whole
what
thing.
if
There's never been a better time to